All right. And so, yeah, I would also want to appreciate every one of you. For each and every one of you who have decided to avail yourself on this call. I want to appreciate you. You definitely had other things you could be doing at the time, but decided to be part of this, right? And hopefully at the end of the day, it's going to be worth it. And so today I'm going to be talking about trend lines. Trend lines, right? You know, as a technical analyst, we say technical analysis is the use of support, resistance, and trend lines, right? Support, resistance, and trend lines. But if there's I want you to also know today that support, resistance, and trend lines, they are together. They have this relationship in the chart. I'm going to give you an example here, right? There's a relationship between support, resistance, and trend lines. Let's take a look at this. So I'm going to clear this. Let's have a trend line on this, like this. Yeah, good. I love this. So this is a trend line, right? This is a trend line. I want you to see the relationship now. If I have to put up let's identify a quick a support and resistance. This is a support area like this. This is that's a resistance area rather, and this is a support here like this. And ladies and gentlemen, take close look at this. Let me put up a box to make this um colorful. Good. And then bring this down here. Ladies and gentlemen, do you see the relationship here? What do you think happened here? Did you see that area? That's the kind of relationship that exists between either a support, that's the kind of relationship that exists between a support, resistance, and trend line. You can see that there's a meet up here. And guess what? When you're charting the market or when you're technically analyzing the market, you don't joke with pivotal areas like this. I'm serious. You don't joke with pivotal areas like this because areas like this are known to be areas of confluence. You have a resistance area. If we go back to the past, this would have probably been a support. Good, exactly. So you can see this is a resistance. This was a resistance here that finally became a support here. If we go to the past, you would identify that this would have also been a support in the past, as shown here. You can see it right here, right? So you can say this is a support at this area, at this point, became a resistance at this point, and now is becoming a support. And then you have trend line. A trend line meets it at that point. That's a big goal. You confidently take trades at this area. You take them confidently. Or you confidently take trades at this area. And you don't have to look back. Now, when I say you don't have to look back, I'm not saying there are guarantees. Understand this. What we do as technical analysts is that we create a structure of rules. So let me tell you why you need to analyze the market. You're not analyzing the market because you think the market would follow your analysis. No. You're analyzing the market because you're laying yourself some set of principles, some set of rules to follow before executing a trade. What differentiates you as a trader from a gambler is your ability to have rules, principles that you need to follow or that you need to look out for before you execute a trade. That's what makes you a trader. A gambler will look at this market right now and be like, oh, you know what? Because the last candle was a red candle, I think this thing will sell. And then we'll go ahead and execute a sell position. That's what a gambler would do, right? A gambler would say, oh, because this thing is actually moving up. It's been moving up since one and he got to this, okay, let me take it for a buy. That's what a gambler would do. Gamblers in the Forex market, do not have a defined set of principles to follow before they execute trades. So understand that when you take a trade based off your analysis or based off the analysis of somebody you trust, right? You're not taking that trade because you believe the market or because you're 100% certain that the market would follow that analysis. Should I tell you something? The market does not follow your analysis. The market does not even know your analysis, to be sincere. The market does not know your analysis. What the market listens to is volume, liquidity, right? And then this will take me into, there's this particular book I read at a point in time. I think it's either Trading in the Zone, or I know I've said this over and over again, either Trading in the Zone or what's this other book by Mark Douglas? Either Trading in the Zone or Disciplined Trader, one of those two. I can't really remember. And he was saying that at a point in time he was trading and he was so confident about his strategy that one gentleman, one of these hedge funds guys, called him and told him, okay, yeah, your strategy is doing amazing things, blah, 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 and I want you to work for me. So can you actually tell me what's this instrument? Back then they referred to what we refer to as currency pairs, and they refer to stuff like that as instruments. So it was like, okay, can you tell me what this instrument will do based off your strategy? And then Mark Douglas said he just came up and was like, okay, this strategy, based on the strategy, this instrument would buy. And the man was like, how many percent are you? And it was like 100%. I'm so certain he's going to buy. And he just kept on bragging. And the man was like, okay, no problem. And then he gave him, I think he said he gave him a certain amount of money. I can't remember. He gave him a certain amount of money to put into the market and then buy that instrument. And he did buy the instrument. He said immediately he punched the, immediately he made the buy execution. Do you know what this gentleman did? He picked up his phone, called his financial advisor or whatever it is, called someone and told the person to put a certain amount of money to sell that same instrument right in front of Mark Douglas. And then as soon as the money got into the market to sell, what would you have expected? Wait, tell me, what do you expect the market to do? What do you expect the market to do? Would you have expected the market to listen to Mark Douglas' analysis? Because if Mark Douglas just basically puts in $1,000 to buy that instrument with his so-called analysis or his so-called strategy, and then this gentleman calls his financial analyst to put about, say, $1 million to sell the same instrument, please tell me, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think that instrument would have done? Let me know in the chat. It sold. It sold big time. And Mark Douglas said he looked at him and it's like, why did you do that? And then the man told him, he said, what I just did is what anybody can do across the world. Anybody at any time could decide to sell the market against what you're expecting the market to do. And that's why we engage in proper risk management. That's why we don't risk all our capital. If you are so certain that the market will follow your analysis, why not put in your 100%? But no, we do proper risk management because we understand that our analysis is to just guide our entry, help us make a decision to either buy or sell the market. Does anybody understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying this because I know I just mentioned something that whenever you find an area of confluence like this, the market will definitely respect it. Now, when I use the word definitely, I'm not saying there's guarantee to it. But this could help you make a great decision in the execution of a trade for either a buy or a sell. So you can see how they're in line with each other. Now, let's clear this chart and then look out for something. Now, if I'm going to identify an uptrend, I just identified an uptrend there, but guess what? The more I shrink the chart, okay, let's take this to, no, let's take this to 4 hours. Let's take this to 4 hours. Good. So, yeah. So if we pick up a trend line from here, let me see. And meanwhile, when you want to do a trend line, I should also put this out there. When you want to do a trend line, you just need to look for two areas that connect the dots. Did you see what I just did there? So look at this. But what I had to do here was to just connect these dots right here with these dots or these dots. If you can connect two areas, right, you can draw it all the way. And you can see how this kind of like creates that relationship. You can see the multiple rejections at this area, right, for that buy, even though price, guess what, even though price came down a bit here, when it got back up, it still maintained this level of trend line here, right, maintained it here, and even still maintained it here. Until finally, what happened? Price broke the trend line. Now, the amazing thing about trend line is this. When you're identifying an uptrend, you're connecting the support areas, not zones. I can only see this as an area because price came down to this place once and rejected. I can only see this as an area because price came to this place once and rejected. Right? So when you're looking to confirm an uptrend, you're connecting the dots based off the support areas, not based off the resistance. It has to be based off the support areas. Right? And if you have to take this to the daily, to the 1 hour time frame now, let's take a look at this. Look at this. Do you all see this? Let's start from the first dot. Good. So you see this now. If I have to pick up a line here, put it on this spot, then it means that, ladies and gentlemen, would I be wrong to say that this is a support area? It's a support area because I can only identify it once as a support area. I can only identify it based off one reversal. But if I take it to the past, okay, power up your plan. Oh, really? Have I gone that far? Okay, well, anyway, if I could take this back to the past, if I take it to 4 hours, you would see what I'm talking about now. Good, let's see something. Do you see this? Ladies and gentlemen, do you see how that area as a support, do you see how it's kind of like, you see how it validates it as a zone? It's see, an area is just one point of reversal. It becomes a zone when it becomes multiple points of reversal. Now, what was 1 point here? See, what was 1 point here that made us mark this area as a support area has now become a zone because we can see that there's a reaction here, or there was a reaction here. There was a reaction here. Did you see that? Not just one reaction, multiple reactions. There was also another reaction here, right? Guess what? There were also reactions here. And all of these reactions I just do now, they are resistant. But look at how this resistance becomes a floor here. Can you see that? Look how it became a floor here. It was a resistance ahead, but became a support here. If you go back, do you see how this place that was also a support or floor became a resistance, how it identified as a resistance here? That's what trend line does. So trend line is a good way to identify support areas. I've done that with this first area. Let's look out for the second area. So this is also another area right here. Okay, this price actually beats this one downwards. This is also one area here. So if I'm going to draw a line here, look at this, 1 and 2. minus. Yeah, let me use minus. Good. So I'm just going to use minus so that it can take me to the past. Now, this is an area here because there's just 1 point of reversal. Right? If we take it to the past, see what happens here. Do you see how what was do you see that what we identified there? Do you see the relationship with this? Did you see that? Did you see the relationship with this? Do you see the relationship here? Right? Do you see the relationship here? So one good way to identify support and resistance zone could also be two trend lines. How many of you understand what I've been saying so far? You see how it's a support here, you have several years of support here. If you take it to the past, you see it could either be a support or resistance, depending on whenever price gets to that place. How many of you understand what I'm saying so far? You understand what I'm talking about? Right? You think it makes sense, yeah? Good. Now look at something. You want us to go ahead and continue to mark up this thing? No problem. Let's move this one here. Let's move this to the next one. This is also another area here. And then this is also another support area here. Right? I'm going to move this box too. Good. So that's the relationship there. Do you see what can you find here? Became a support here. Right? Became a support here too. Was also a resistance here. Did you see that? So there's a good relationship between support, resistance, and trend lines. And like I said earlier on, if you want to mark up uptrends, you look out for, you connect the dots, you connect the support areas together. But now let's look for a trade that has gone down, that is actually doing downtrend. This is also another uptrend here. Good. This is also another uptrend. So I'm going to connect 1, 2, 3. So I can see it's line on 3 already. If I move this straight up, good. Connecting, hold on. Good. Connecting these dots right here with this, there are lots of activities here. If I take the screen, do you see? Price came into this place, rejected it, and then finally, this was more like a fake out. Moved up and established this place as a support. Look at this here. Clean support. Price never came below that area. Identified it as a support. Look at this. Yeah, even though it came down here, this is a fake out, came down here, but you can see how it finally adjusted to the trend line here. Identifying all of these areas, identifying this same area as a support. You can see the relationship here too, right? And guess what, ladies and gentlemen, you can also see how price literally respecting the zone there or the area. You see how price respected this here as well, right? Whereas we have price, and then finally, guess what? Price broke this area down. So whenever you have, if you have a trend line done on 4 hours, right now, this is another thing you want to take from this call. When you have price break an uptrend line, it's a good notification that price is about to change, to make a shift in momentum. A shift in momentum simply means that price is about to go on a downtrend. Because look at this here. So if if I get to adjust this right here, like this, right, it's still quite in line with everything happening here. And then I mark up an area there, area of resistance as the case is. Ladies and gentlemen, look at something here. If we draw this all the way from here into the future, double tap this. Now notice how what was previously a okay, first off, what was previously a resistance here, notice how it became a floor here, right? Notice how it still remained a floor here. And then guess what? When price finally broke that floor, what do you think it did? It came back to identify it as what? As a resistance. Do you see the sense in everything I'm saying here? This is an uptrend line, or this is a trend line you do to show that market was moving in an upward direction, right? But finally, what did price do? The market broke the trend line. Breaking the trend line is good enough to tell you that, okay, this could be a shift of momentum. When I say shift of momentum, I'm saying shift in direction. Right, so breaking that trend line alone could give you an idea that, oh, it's as if the market is about to switch direction from an upward trend to a downward trend, right? And then did he do that? Now, not only did he do that, he came back to retest what was previously a support, identifying it as a floor. And come on, if all you did was to capitalize on this, how many pips would you have risked? Even if you risked 30 pips, look at the first move it made was about 127 pips. Came back into that zone again. The second move it made was about what? 278 pips. Moved up a bit. Third move it made was what? About 362 pips. Moved up a bit to fulfill 50% fib levels. Came down again, 457. Do you all see this? See, those values are big because this is 4 hours time frame. This is 4 hours time frame. And I'm quite curious when I see that the fact that we're only seeing the same thing over and over again doesn't mean that that's all we have to offer. Right? Really, there are just certain things that you have to withhold. There are certain information about the market you have to withhold so that you don't make the whole learning process complicated. There's a whole lot to understand as far as price action is concerned. There's a whole lot, right? But we're going to take it a step at a time. Support, resistance, and trend line. Look at the relationship now. I've seen a downtrend. Let's mark up a downtrend. Pick up a trend line here. I have to do this like this. Boom. Good. I'll be a short one. But don't worry about it. Let me see. This I've gone all the way to this spot. Okay, hold on. Yeah, this still fits. Exactly. So you can see this. I see our price established that resistance here. Price respected this area. Price respected this area. Got to those points, and you can see how it gets to that point, and what does it do? It just continues its direction downwards, right? You see that? You see all of this. So when you're looking out for a downtrend, you connect the resistance area. When you're looking for an uptrend, you connect the support areas. When it's a downtrend, you connect the resistance. Now, this is a resistance here because I could equally go ahead and say that, okay, if I'm looking at the market like this, I see that price came up to this zone and reversed. So I could put up a line here like this and then put up a box. 2 lines, 1 box. like this. Do you see how this makes sense? I could also go ahead and say, okay, this is also a resistance area here because price moved up to this area and came down. I could put up a line here like this, put up a box. Right? I've done that, isn't it? I could equally, okay, even though price did not really get to this place, let's leave that. But you can see the relationship here. To price got to this place, you could put up a line here and say, okay, this is a resistance area. So you can see, I'm showing you so that you can understand that all I did was to connect the reversal, the resistance areas. But these areas finally became a zone because I can see that from the past, they were reversal areas. Do you see how this area here was also a reversal area here? Right? Do you see how this area I marked up here was also a reversal area here? Do you see how this area, if I have to take this back, if price ever got there, no, I think price did not get there. Has been on an uptrend. But if price ever gets here in the future, what do you think would happen? It's going to reverse. Look at this. Look how lovely this is. Pick this up here. Pick this up here. Draw a box. So notice how what was a resistance here was a support here. Notice how this was a support here. Notice how it was a support here. Notice how, yeah, it was also a support here. Did you see that? Notice how good, I mean, this is lovely. Notice how this was also a resistance. All of these areas. Does that not validate that particular area as a zone, ladies and gentlemen? And what did I do? All I needed to do was to identify that particular area. Look at this one here too. If we go ahead and draw up two lines like we used to do, and then put a box. Do you notice how what was a resistance here? Do you notice how it was a support here? So the support here, right? So it's also a support here. So it's also multiple times became a support here. And it finally became resistance here. And look at the future. Good. Now this is what I mean by the future. Look at the future. Still became a resistance here, but finally became a support here. Became a support here. Became a support here. Became a resistance here. Right? Look at this. Became a support, a resistance here that finally became a support here. If all you can do in the market every single day, listen, if all you can do is to identify these areas, then it means you would have been able to understand the patterns of the market at least about 70%. Isn't it amazing that I just draw out a line in the market and then I'm expecting that, okay, if price breaks this place and it comes back to the test, I'm going to take this trade for a buy. Isn't it amazing? I mean, notice how price established this area twice here as a support. But finally, when it broke the area, came back to retest it. And then look at how you would have just leveraged over that sell for about how many pips? About 165 pips. Or guess what? Eventually, when price did that 165 pips, price found its way back to this place and came down, did a break, came down again, finally did a break again, and then did a retest and then moved up. And you would have actually leveraged from this area all the way to this area another 77 pips. Right? So understand, I'll wrap up this section this way. Understand that there are three ways, there are three directions the market moves. The market would either move in good. This is also another good example of a The market will either move in a, or to move. Damn, look at this. Just look at this. Look at this. But the market will either move on the downtrend. Understanding all of these areas, this is 1, and then this is 2. So even if this is the only 2 I was able to mark first, all I needed to do was to extend the line. Guess what? The price reversed here. It did. The price reversed here. It did. The price reversed here. It did. What about here? It did. And then look at what happened. Price was on a downtrend before. But when it broke this trend and came back to that place, do you see what he did? He identified, so what was previously a resistance finally became a support here. And you can see how price made that move from the up, from this particular area to the upside. That's about 164 pips. Up. Now, let's quickly do something here. If all I can do is to identify that this is a previous resistance, putting this, like this, and like this. Ladies and gentlemen, look at how what was previously resistance here. Look how it became a support here. At least it did break and retest here. It did break and retest in all of these places, but was struggling. Guess what? If you had reached 30 pips like this, I know your JPY used to move, it moves in a funny way. If you had reached 30 pips like this, did you see how you'd have been able to just reach 30 pips on that trade? It's after this guaranteed retest. I know there was a retest here. There would have been a retest. Okay, so on 4 hours, you don't reach 30 pips, please. If you're working on the 4-hour time frame, you don't reach 30 pips. If we're on 1 hour, that's when you'd have reached 30 pips, right? The higher the time frame, the higher the risk. Take that from me today. So it did a retest here. If you are giving it at least 50 to even 70 pips, even if it's 50, yeah, you can reach 50 pips on currency pairs if you're trading 4 hours time frame. So if you reach 50 pips, that's how you'd have just reached 50 pips to make what? To make 145 pips. That's almost 1:3. 1% to make 3%. Right? So back to what I was saying, you identify the downtrend by connecting the dots on the resistance zone. You identify the uptrend. You identify the uptrend of the market by connecting the dots on a support area. What's this? This is another one. Trend line here. You see this? You see that? So this is me connecting the support areas here and here. And all I did was to extend. Look at the relationship here. Right? Look at the relationship here. Look at the relationship here. Right? If you take this straight up, look at this. Wait, calm down. Let's do something here. Where was, okay, it was like this. Good. Right? Look at the relationship. And then finally, what did price do? Price broke that area and then observed it as a new resistance. And you can see how we do. Right? Now, 3 different directions. Either price is moving on an upward trend, a downward trend, or an uptrend, a downtrend, or consolidation. How do I identify consolidation? Come on, I know we've been we trade consolidation. Like we look out for consolidating markets. So I could say that on Euro JPY, I could say on Euro JPY, this is more like a consolidating market here. Let me take it to 4 hours. We've been using 4 hours time frame. Good. So I could say on Euro JPY, this is more like a consolidating market. Yeah. This area to this area, then from this area to this area. Guess what? Price is about to make a retest. So this is 4 hours. If I take this to 1 hour, you'd see it. You know it's a consolidation. Do you see that? Do you see how price came down to this place, moved up, came down, moved up, came down, moved up, came down, moved up, came down again? How many times do we say we need to identify a support area to make it, to validate it as a zone? How many times do we say we need to, how many? 2 or more, right? So we have 1 year, we have another 1 year. Can we not validate that as a zone? For the resistance, we have 1 year, we have another 1 year, and we even have another 1 year. Can we not validate these areas as zone? So on Euro JPY, if I'm looking at Euro JPY now, consolidation, or to mark up the chart, I could take it from here like this, all the way to this place. Right? And then my resistance could be here. Either here, yeah, I could have my resistance like this. Price has done a break. Can we check 15 minutes if it has done a retest yet? It did a retest here. Guess what? This trade is valid for entry. This trade is valid for entry. If you're risking 30 pips right here like this, 30 pips, take profit like this trade is indeed valid for entry. I'm not going to give the trade. We have a trade that is ongoing. Let me take a look at it. What's Euro AUD doing? Whoa. So Euro AUD, how many of you are on this trade? Let me know on the chat. How many of you are on Euro AUD? Do you like what it's doing? I mean, it's gone how many pips? This has done about, it's gone about 23 pips. Do you like what it's doing? So yeah, just keep learning, keep growing, and we come to the end of today's session. Hopefully you all got value. If you did, make a comment. If you're seeing this video as a recording, if you got value, put on the comment box whatever it is you got. And for those of you in Power Nation actively on this call right now, just go back to the channel and then comment whatever it is you learned on this session.